All right, so we can talk about digital nomad visas for the next 20 years and not get through all of them because it seems like they keep coming out every day. But what we don't talk about enough, or what I don't talk about enough, is how do you qualify for these visas? It doesn't make any difference if you watch how to apply for digital nomad visas or the requirements for the next 10 years if you don't have the requirements to actually qualify for these visas, because it seems like most countries are catering to the high income earners, people who have in place. Let's put it that way. So what are some of the things that you should put in place if you're planning to apply for a digital nomad visa, or if you're planning to move anytime soon? So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 things that you should put in place if you're planning to apply for a digital nomad visa in the near future. Well, the first thing that most digital nomad ask for is that you work remotely. And how do you do that if you have a full-time job? The most important thing to do is to ask your employer if you can work remotely and get that consent in writing. You want to get it in writing. You don't want your employer to say, you know what, yeah, you can go work remotely from anywhere you please. You want to make sure that they put that in writing. Make sure your employer states if you're just getting a new job, or if you have an existing job, let them put it in writing that your job allows you to work remotely from any country. That is the one thing that most countries want to see, that you work remotely. Now, if you are a freelancer, or maybe you have your own business, what do? And that leads me to the second point, is to always have contracts with your contractors that have specific clauses in them that says you can do your work remotely. An example is one of my agencies that I used to freelance for. I didn't have a contract with them at the beginning, but even though I wasn't planning to apply for any digital nomad visa at the time, I reached out to them and asked them to create a contract and asked them to put a clause in there that says that I can complete my job from anywhere in the world, which is what I've been doing prior to that. So this is what you should do if you're a freelancer or if you have your own company. Make sure you have clauses in your agreement that states that you can work remotely. This is what countries and consulates and embassies want to see, that you can work remotely regardless of your work situation, whether you're a freelancer or a full-time employee. Now, I watched a video of a lawyer talking about the Spain digital nomad visa and how certain types of people do not qualify for this visa. For example, if you teach English online, or maybe you're an online yoga instructor, these are the types of employment that the Spain embassy do not consider to be technical enough to apply for their visa. It's pretty classist if you'd ask me. But if you fall into this category, what should you do? Now, what I recommend you do, this is not legal advice, this is just something that I think is logical, something that I do right now for myself, is to set up an LLC. That is the first thing that you want to do. If you don't have an LLC, you want to go set up one in the first place. Go set up an LLC, go set up a company in any country, I don't care which country it is. Then you want to make sure that whatever jobs, whatever contracts, whatever you do, whatever service you offer to people, you want to receive your payments in your company name. That is the first thing. And how do you do that? You contract yourself from your company, from your LLC that you've created. You make a contract like you're employing a freelancer, which is you, in your company name. Then you receive your payments in your company name. Then you transfer that payment into your bank account. Of course, this is going to have more implications, tax implications at the end of the year, but you need to start taking this seriously if you're going to build a business anyway. So you don't want to be receiving funds directly into your bank account, because I know as freelancers, as people who work remotely, sometimes our finances can be all over the place and we don't have our shit together most of the time. But you want to start taking this seriously if you're thinking about building a global presence, starting a company, making sure that you get ahead of everybody else financially. This is something that you want to keep in mind. So like I said, set up a company LLC, contract yourself as a freelancer, then get paid in your company, then transfer that funds into your bank account. This is how I believe you can get around this technical requirements of certain digital nomad visas. So if they say that you are a yoga instructor, but you're employed by a company that says you can work remotely, which is your LLC that you've created. So that is the next thing to do. And I think this is the most important of everything that I want to talk about. Now, the next thing is to keep your contract for as long as possible. A lot of digital nomad requirements is that you need to have been with your contractor or with your employer for at least 3 months. Now, how do you do that if you are jumping from one contract to another or from one job to another? Make sure you're keeping your contracts for as long as possible, at least 3 to 6 months, because that is what they want to see. They want to see that you have a consistent source of income, you have a stable job, and you're not going to become a liability when they grant you a digital nomad visa when you get into that country. And finally, what you want to make sure that you do in order to qualify for most digital nomad visas is to consolidate your finances in into one bank account. As a freelancer, I can't tell you enough how many bank accounts I have. I have so many bank accounts, I have so many payment processors, but over the last 1.5 years, I've made conscious decision to make sure that all of my payments come in through one payment processor and they go into one bank account. Because a lot of digital nomad visas, they want to see your bank statement for the last 3 to 6 months, and some even say for the last 1 year. Even if you don't have a lump sum amount in your bank account, you want to make sure that you have a consistent source of income, revenue coming into your bank account. And how do you do that if you have multiple bank accounts laying around and you have to, pull a statement from this bank and from that bank? It does not show a level of seriousness that is worthy of being, granted a digital nomad visa if I were the consular officer looking at your application. So these are the things that you should do. 1, ask your employer and get it in writing if you're a freelance contractor. 2, always have contract with contractors and have specific clauses in them. 3, set up a company, contract yourself, then receive payments into your company account, then transfer into your personal bank account. That is how I believe you should set up your business anyway. 4, keep your contracts for as long as possible, ideally 3 to 6 months, and finally consolidate your finances into your bank account. I think if you do all of these things, you are in a very good place to be able to apply and be granted a lot of this digital nomad visa, and you don't have to, be wondering how you should go about it or if you even qualify. So if this video has been helpful, consider subscribing. If you have any questions about digital nomad visas, how to apply, and how to travel sustainable as digital nomad, leave them down in the comment section down below. And you can also message me on Instagram if Daniel did. Also check out the links in my description. Insurance that I use, my bank card that I use that works in over 200 countries. This is where I keep all of my funds. This is where I can put all my statements if I need to. And yeah, that is everything I have for you in this video. I hope to see you in the next one. My name is Daniel. Talk to you soon. Bye.